Hi, I'm Annette Rippert, and I lead strategy and consulting at Accenture, where we help organizations to capitalize on the power of technology and human ingenuity. At Accenture, we believe that technology is the heartbeat of innovation, and that data and artificial intelligence, or AI, are a key part of what keeps that heart pumping, giving you the ability to flex new muscles, strengthen existing ones, and keep moving forward. For an organization to reach its full potential, it requires the ability to quickly adapt to change, to make decisions based on the best data available. So today, I'll be breaking down the concept of applying AI to data in the cloud by speaking with three different people: a child, a college student, and an expert. So Caleb, do you know what data collection is?
I don't know.
It's sort of like collecting toys or cards. So if I think about it that way, do you collect anything?
Yeah, I collect baseball cards.
Well, that's pretty cool. Do you keep them in a book or a box?
I keep some of them in a box, and then the ones that are signed, I keep them in a special book that we put in our garage to where nobody can rip them.
That sounds like a big collection, Caleb, and a very special one. Have you ever heard of the cloud?
I think the cloud's on the internet, so I don't think I've actually seen it.
Well, Caleb, your garage sounds just like the cloud for information. How you store your cards in the garage is like how information is stored in the cloud. The cloud holds pictures and documents and videos, a ton of information, and keeps it safe to make sure that you can get to it at any time, like you going to your garage to find your baseball cards. Caleb, tell me, what kind of baseball cards do you have?
I have signed ones, I have minor league, and I have the pro league.
Wow. So when you look at more cards over time, you can see which players are the best. You can see trends in how a player became better over time, or how they became better than the other members of their team, can't you?
hmm
How do you think about putting them in categories? How do you sort them?
I classify them by doing it to nah, good, and the best. And then the signed ones, I would put them somewhere between okay and best.
So, Caleb, you've told me about how you put some of your cards in a special binder and some of your cards in a box. That clearly tells me that you have a lot more value related to the signed cards. And it's just like information. Some information has very special value, and other information is important, but maybe not as necessary to protect in the same way. That's the same thing with the cloud. There are different kinds of information that we protect in different ways.
Do you have to have a password for the cloud?
Sometimes you need a password for the cloud. It's like a key. So some information is very special, like you keep in a special box. In some cases, those boxes are locked, and you'd need a key to get into those boxes.
How big is the cloud?
Caleb, it's like your garage and your neighbor's garage and every garage added together. In fact, it's like the universe. It doesn't have a fixed size. Caleb, it's been great spending time with you today.
It's been a lot of fun. See you. Bye.
Hi, Kelly. Well, tell me a little bit about yourself. What university do you attend, and what are you studying?
I attend Rice University in Houston, Texas, and I'm studying computer science and philosophy.
Excellent. It's a great field these days, computer science. There's so much going on. Kelly, how is data collected and generally stored in the cloud?
So my understanding is that when a user uses the internet to connect to a data server that is hosted on the cloud, the user can then send or upload files through the internet to the data server. And when they do, this information is forwarded to multiple servers that are all stored on the cloud and all accessible at any time.
That really represents an opportunity, doesn't it, to be able to aggregate large sums of data. Can you explain to me what artificial intelligence and machine learning are?
Artificial intelligence refers to the intelligence displayed by machines rather than the, natural intelligence that are displayed by humans. And as a field, it's a branch of computer science that researches how we can develop these machines to display, more human-like characteristics of intelligence, higher levels of cognitive functioning, and the ability to reason and problem solve. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that looks for ways that machines can learn to solve problems by analyzing, large data sets and finding and recognizing patterns in those data sets.
When you think about machine learning versus the learning through people, are there any differences that you see?
These machines, while they are able to recognize different patterns, they only are able to perform this on a very specific subset of tasks. So, for instance, you could have machines learn words in English and how to say hello, and they can start picking that up. But then if you switch gears and ask a machine to learn how to play chess or something like that, it's going to totally freak out and not know what's going on. Whereas for humans, we are very malleable in terms of learning. We can learn to connect different things and problem solve and get creative.
Well, that's pretty interesting when you think about it, the ability to learn. Maybe you could think of an example, what comes to mind about learning and the area of social impact.
One example that comes straight to mind is medical imaging and how AI is now playing a role in being able to look at these scans and diagnose different diseases in these scans. And the learning part comes in because as these machines look at more and more images, they become smarter and able to recognize different patterns that display different symptoms of diseases.
When I think about radiology, I think about the quality of the decisions that radiologists made. When you think about using machine learning and cloud computing, how do you see the quality of those decisions changing over time?
I think initially there's always going to be a concern of whether or not what these machines produce is accurate or not. Hopefully over time, as these machines get smarter, as they learn through more data and experience, that they'll be able to perform not only on par, but even better than our human counterparts.
So you're saying over time, with more data and more attention to the accuracy of the algorithm, we can begin to simulate human thought.
Exactly.
The more information that we provide, the richer the quality of the analysis, but then the more incumbent it is to continue to train those algorithms to produce the type of responses that you're looking for over time.
I would love to know who you think would be responsible for the decisions that these machines make. Now, if they're not people and real humans, and these machines are making these decisions, who ultimately would be accountable for them?
This is a very important issue in our field. I think one of the powers of the cloud, what we've seen is that it provides an opportunity for many collaborators to be able to bring together various data sets to improve the quality of the algorithms, improve the quality of the conclusions that are made, and ultimately informing intelligent decisions. One thing is for sure, that with the right AI and the right regulations around that AI, we can improve the future of our planet, of our society, and therefore continuing to expand this field in a responsible way is incumbent upon all of us. Sanjay, thank you for being here. Tell me a little bit about you and where you work.
Thank you, Annette. I am a professor at MIT. I'm the vice president for open learning at MIT. And I work in RF, RFID, sensors, and areas surrounding.
Now, Sanjay, in your work at MIT, you've been at the forefront of the Internet of Things. Can you explain what that is and how it enables data to be collected in the cloud?
Annette, I think of the Internet of Things as an amorphous network of sensors like temperature sensors, pressure sensors, cameras that collect data on a sort of an opportunistic basis, as opposed to automation systems where you have, the sensor must collect at that time. The IoT environment consists of thousands of sensors which collect the data, they process it either on the edge or in the cloud, and then you have a system that reacts to this to enable a safer, more sustainable environment, whether it's a road or a home or a building.
I see this emerging as an important area in business. And as we keep extending the frontiers of this, using new technologies to think about how we gather even more information. And you talked about how that information is filtered, really, to be able to be informative. Tell me a little bit more about how you think that kind of data allows us to extract more value when we think about how it's applied to business.
I think there is so much that's going to happen with this. We collect information from our five senses, and now with the smartphone, et cetera, with other things we have, and we digest it and we react to it and we make actionable decisions with it. What's going to happen with the Internet of Things is we will collect a sort of a 360 of everything that's happening in our environment. Let's say I'm a maintenance mechanic and a plane lands in Boston Airport, and I walk up to the plane and I want to, look at the engine. And the system tells me, well, this plane last landed in Frankfurt and so many weeks since the last maintenance. It gives me information about, where my tools are and maybe the last thing that was maintained in there. I think of AI really as augmented intelligence. And a lot of the things we're talking about are augmenting intelligence.
Our clients are thinking about, what can I predict about what will happen? How do AI and machine learning help us to regulate, analyze, and translate that data that's being gathered?
We can recognize patterns from all the data. We can prognosticate, we can predict, whether it's predictive maintenance, whether it's detection of errors, and make sure that we take actions that make us efficient, safe, etc. Overall, I just feel that we do the best we can, but in the lack of information, we're very suboptimal. And information fundamentally puts us in a different level of optimality, individually, as companies, as society.
The pandemic has shown us that cloud and AI are difference makers in the way that the world works. And by sharing information, by collaborating, we can accomplish things that are so much greater than that of any one individual or government, that we can achieve outcomes that change the future of the world.
In the early days of the pandemic, as you know, there was a shortage of ventilators, but there was an equally worrisome shortage of trained operators, because you have to really calibrate a ventilator and sort of get a sense of each ventilator, how the patient's reacting, and turn the knob, et cetera, et cetera. But in fact, Harvard put out a course on ventilators, and they had hundreds of thousands of people sign up to take those courses, an indication of exactly what you're talking about.
That type of learning will have us be prepared in advance for the next major global event that we face. And the disruption that took place during this event showed how the freedom and democratization of information and data could change the course of a global pandemic by having experts from around the world using that data in a way that changed the trajectory of every organization involved in that process. Talking about the capabilities enabled by the cloud reminds me of just how much it has pushed the boundaries of human potential. We now have access to vast amounts of information that's continually being analyzed and classified to give us the intelligence we need to make important decisions. It's an ever-expanding universe of information. So as we tap into the cloud to store our medical records, our music, and really everything in between, we'll see an opportunity to use AI to help us make more data-driven decisions on how we live our lives, how we succeed in business, and how we thrive as a global community.